Hello Eduinkers, it's time for the mid-year exams. The time when you think teachers are out to torture you and to get you and to make sure that you suffer. But that's not the case. I'd like you to remember the study skills that you all attended, those dreary Saturday mornings, those Thursday and Friday afternoons where you could have been doing things that were much better and a lot more fun. But we were giving you a toolbox that we'd like you to now open and start using in preparation for these exams. Here's some terms that you might remember. Identify, summarize, memorize, and test yourself. What study packs are and what study notes are, and concepts like time versus task. So the winning formula, how to study. Number 1, identify. Number 2, summarize. Number 3, memorize. And number 4, test yourself. Identify. Identifying what you have to study is not just about the content. It's also about identifying at what cognitive level you're going to be required to demonstrate your skills. How do you identify what you have to study? It's not a magic wand that gets waved, and it's not a magic thing that teachers just know and students don't. But your teachers will guide you into what's important. You can also see through the learning objectives at the beginning of each module or unit, and you can also have a look at the activities and the revision activities in your chapters or modules. You might remember the term the Alice process, and that refers to summarizing, reducing information into a size that you are able to memorize it more easily, and also to be able to expand the information meaningfully during the exams. This process should be happening throughout the term, and summarizing is not studying. It is part of the process. There are 2 more steps that come after summarizing your notes. Memorizing. Memorizing is a very personal thing, but there's one thing that you have to remember. To memorize well, you need to repeat. You need to practice and repeat. Sometimes you might have to repeat something 10 times, sometimes only once. How do you remember someone's cell number? That's how you're going to remember your information. It might be writing things out, it might be teaching your teddies, it might be creating mnemonics. Whatever it is, memorizing is part of that process, and it's an active part of the process. And the last one is testing yourself. And as you go into your exams, the days and weeks before your exams, you're going to be spending 80% of your time testing yourself. And that is by going through the activities, the revision activities in your textbooks and workbooks, as well as going through the study packs that teachers have given you. Testing yourself is not just about practicing, it's also about marking, seeing where you've made a mistake and doing the corrections, and then doing it again to see if you can remember to get it right. It is a repetitive process, and it is also part of the studying process, a very, very important one. Study packs and study notes. Students, parents and teachers all have a role to play in preparing for the exams. The students are the ones that are doing most of the work, and at this point, identifying, practicing and testing yourself should be your priority. Your study notes have been made, and you should be finalizing them as we go into this phase of studying. A very important thing is to consider and evaluate your strong and your weak subjects. Your weak subjects might require more time and more dedication, but it should not be at the cost of your strong subjects. Strong subjects also need to be revised so that they stay strong, and you also need to practice in preparation for those exams. Parents, your role is to make sure that your children are working consistently. Cramming 2 days before the exam is not appropriate. It's not going to give them enough time to practice and to solidify the skills that they need. You should see them preparing daily, working on their study notes as well as practicing. Teachers, the responsibility of the teachers is to check the study notes regularly to make sure the students are reducing the information appropriately and not leaving things out, that they're summarizing the appropriate content. When they are doing the study packs, to make sure that they are demonstrating their knowledge in a way that is appropriate for the cognitive levels of the questions, and the teachers will be marking and making sure the students are marking appropriately and doing their corrections. The teachers are also able to help the students identify areas that they are struggling with, and if they are struggling and not understanding concepts, give some clarity on that as well. Task versus time. In our study skills, we always talk about being task-orientated and not time-orientated. And there's a couple of good reasons for this. When I ask students what their concentration span is, they'll usually tell me 15 minutes, half an hour, 45 minutes. And when I ask them how they know what their concentration span is, they always reply, because that's what the teacher told me, or that's what the internet told me. My next question to them is, how long is your longest exam? For some of the students it's 3 hours. For some of the students it's only 2 hours. And that's when I reply to them, that's how long your concentration span needs to be. And I'm not asking them to run the comrades immediately, but we do need to prepare and help our minds practice for that concentration span of 2 or 3 hours. And how we do that is to focus on the task rather than the time. So if the task takes an hour to do or complete, then it's an hour we're sitting and working. If it takes 15 minutes, then it's for 15 minutes that we are sitting and working. It helps train the brain focus on the task until it's complete. It's very important to be task orientated. You get more work done and it extends your concentration span as well. So if you're not doing the work for them, making the study notes for them, doing the practice for them, how can you help them prepare for the exams? If you're inclined to ask them questions, please remember that you're going to be asking them cognitive level 1 questions. These are questions that talk about knowledge and comprehension. You're going to ask them to list, define, discuss and explain. Remember, that's only about 40% of the exam they're going to write. Cognitive level number 2 is application and analysis. It's asking questions like illustrate, classify, demonstrate and compare. And as a parent, you're not equipped to ask those questions appropriately. Cognitive level number 3 is synthesis and evaluation. This is integrate, design, assess and justify. These are the kind of questions that students come out after the exam and say, we were never taught that. For example, the students might be taught what a bird looks like, what makes a bird able to fly, the feathers, the light bone structure, the large chest muscles. And in the exam, they're given an ostrich or a picture of an ostrich and asked to explain why the ostrich is not suitable for flight. That's taking knowledge and then adapting it and analyzing it and synthesizing and creating a new answer using current knowledge. So parents, if you can't help your children prepare level 2 and level 3 cognitive level questions, where are they going to find those questions and how are they going to practice? The answer to that is in the activities, in the textbook, as well as in the study packs that the teachers are giving them. Parents, how can you help your children non-academically during the exam preparation? The first thing is to make sure that the kids are eating. Generally, when people are stressed, their appetites reduce. And maybe if they're eating less, make sure they're eating healthy food. Stay away from the sugar, the caffeine, the Red Bulls, the energy drinks. And they should be getting 8 to 9 hours sleep. Make sure that they have the correct stationery. Clear plastic bag, 3 blue pens, 3 HB pencils, erasers, rulers, sharpeners, highlighters, no Tipex or whiteout, and a calculator if necessary. Get them to school on time or even early so they're not panicking or getting stressed in the car or the traffic. Parents, be positive, be calm and encouraging, but also be firm on your expectations and the students' work and when they have to work. There should be a lot less screen time during this exam time. Less TV, less computers, less tablets, less cell phones. I'm quite sure they'll be able to catch that up in the holidays. I leave you with one final thought, students, parents and teachers. Gary Player said, the harder I practice, the luckier I get. So go and practice hard. Thank you.